Hey there, this is JP Hunt with InkSoft, and this is our first ever Thought Starter. So this is a series that we're going to release twice a month, and really the whole purpose of a Thought Starter is really just to share an idea or give an insight to get you thinking critically about your business. So with that said, our first topic is a Print Hackathon. So a hackathon is something software companies have done as a way to engage their team, create a culture of learning, and really innovate and problem solve. Now let me share an example of a successful result from a software hackathon, and that is the Facebook like button. Yes, the Facebook like button and concept was born as a result of a small team at Facebook doing a hackathon. So typically software companies like to organize their teams and participate in these hackathons as a way to do creative problem solving, engage the team, and innovate. And so why shouldn't you, as a printing business or as a decorator, promotional product distributor, do the same, right? This is benchmarking, taking examples of success that other companies deploy and using those in your business practices. So let's do a quick definition here and talk about what a print hackathon should represent. So again, this is a collaborative team exercise to set out and define a problem and then seek out innovation, to invent, and to use creativity to get to an end result. So specifically, here's some goals that I've sort of laid out as a way to give you some construct and a little direction here. Now, the first goal of a print hackathon, as you'll see, is to create usable physical samples that will aid in the sales process. So imagine if on a monthly basis, you and your team are creating high-end print samples that showcase new technique, new print methodology, trending technique. These should be samples that your sales team can utilize in the sales process to visually sell. This is something that you can also use to make your showroom elegant. Now, the second goal is to develop new techniques. Now, these techniques are something that should be executed with confidence and accuracy each and every time. So with that said, let's say that your team successfully sets out to do a print hackathon and the result is great. Well, your team should be able to execute that once the sales team brings orders using that method. Now, the third goal ought to be the establishment of a learning culture and a learning environment. So your employees will love and thrive when they're constantly being challenged and asked to grow and develop and learn and innovate. So it creates a nice cultural implication. Now let's talk about the benefits of a print hackathon. Why would you as a business owner or as a production manager invest the time and the small resources into conducting these print hackathons? So first and foremost, as we've already discussed, this is going to create a learning environment. This is going to create a team collaborative effort. So you're engaging your team. And when I say team, this isn't just a production team. This should be cross-functional, meaning, think about investing, production artists. Think about investing, the sales team to have their voice and input, of course, production. So this engages your entire team, top to bottom, to be involved in this process. Now, of course, because you're engaging your team and you're challenging them, you're going to boost morale and team confidence. You're going to motivate and you're going to cross-train and develop your team as you go. And this is a great way to get sales to better understand the production workflow, production to understand the sales process. Now, you're also going to problem solve. So think about this as a way to identify those print techniques that maybe you've said no to because you might not be experienced and might not be capable. Think about the problems that you've encountered in production. What's resulted in misprints or challenges? What haven't you perfected yet that you want to? Lastly, this is a great way to provide awesome social media and marketing content. Since we're going to be producing physical samples, you get to document and memorialize those samples and use those not only in the sales process, but also have some great visual content to aid in content marketing, whether it be blog posting or social media engagement. So let's get into the details now. Let's talk about how you conduct a successful hackathon. So first and foremost, you need to define the problem, and that needs to be done with a great deal of clarity. So set up the challenge to your team. And that's going to, of course, take the form and fashion will be unique for every engagement, but it's up to you as a stakeholder, as a business leader, to really lay out what the challenge is and what you're challenging your team to solve. Next, you want to define the goals and the desired outcomes with clarity. So you know that time investment and resource investment was worthwhile and you got an end result. That might mean printed samples. That might mean putting those samples in your showroom. So make sure to define that with clarity. For some people, that's even going to be to document the process so your team can repeat that. So you have a standard operating procedure, you have documentation that you can rely on to use to train new team members. Next, you want to define the materials and equipment that can be usable in this print hackathon. So create sort of guardrails and indicate what is accessible to your team, whether it be a small budget to acquire blank goods that will be useful. Next, you want to define and talk about a code of conduct. And this is just goes back to the cultural implication, but ensure that your team understands that everybody's voice is to be respected, that this is to be a team collaborative environment. Nobody should be shamed or teased because of an idea. So just be mindful that this should be that team positive effort. Next, you want to define a leader, and that leader will be charged with mediating and directing and really organizing this entire effort. Sixth, you want to make sure that you're defining really the tactical things like the date, the designated area, the time frame and timeline in which this print hackathon will occur. And really that's important for a number of reasons, scheduling, but it also brings formality. It tells your team that you're serious about this, that you've put thought and you've dedicated resources towards this effort. The last and the most important thing is conducting a retrospective. Now, retrospective is simply getting the team together and asking key questions. What did we learn? What went right? What went wrong? How can we use this to better our business? How can we use this in the sales process? What do we want to do next time? So really, this is just a way to take and learn and document from that learning. Now, let's get into some examples of a hackathon. Now, this idea was really born as a result of an InkSoft customer who had taken receipt of some new equipment. In particular, this was a laser bridge. And for those of you that aren't familiar with that technology, that is a tool that laser cuts applique and sort of is aligned with the embroidery process. So with that said, here you see a multimedia imprint, and this was an example done for InkSoft. So you have a screen print, and then you have a 2-layer kiss cut applique that was cut on the laser and sewn in place. So here's a few different examples and iteration of that result. So using different fabrics for the kiss cut, using tackle twill versus sort of a frayed material. So you can see that this was a challenge that our customer gave to his team to say, listen, we made this investment in this new equipment. We have to learn how to use it. So, putting the team to task and then getting some awesome samples in result that the rest of the team can leverage to better their job function. Now, here's another example of some special effects and some detail shots of those screen printed special effects. So using additives and certain densities and just different technique and chemicals to get different results. So this is a great deal of experimentation. This is a great deal of trial and error. But the end result is having really cool technique that might set you apart. That might be the difference between landing that job. It's also a way to maintain profit margin, because if you're delivering really unique imprints and methods and techniques, that comes with a premium price tag and a higher perceived value. Now, these last 4 images, if you're curious, one of my favorite Instagrammers, this is Mad Specials. So if you follow them on Instagram, you'll see that they are constantly experimenting with special effects and methods and techniques to, again, refine their process. And it's like a constant engagement in a print hackathon. So in conclusion, this was our very first Thought Starter. Again, this is just a way to share insights that we learn and that we hear, whether it be part of our business or the industry at large. And really, it's not answers necessarily, it's just some ideas to get you thinking about your business and about the way you run your business. So we certainly look forward to showcasing more of these. If you have ideas or if there are topics you'd like to see reflected in this series, we'd love to hear from you. So send your ideas to myself, jphunt@inksoft.com. Well, we certainly hope you found this insightful and valuable, and we look forward to our next